Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. I am Marty Caswell. That is Darren Smith, and that is Voice of San Diego's Scott Lewis. So great to see our friend Scott Lewis. We're all brought to you. The show is brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. The Padres have ushered in a new era in baseball with Kwanza and Jose Feliciano by having 4 runners thrown out at home plate. And that's why Scott Lewis is here to break down each and every single play. Fellas, how you doing today?
Well, thanks, guys.
Scott, you ever see anything like that in all your years of softball coaching?
Yeah, I have. I've seen some real bad sends, but those are volunteer coaches, and we it's always when a coach is walking back in after doing something like that, you know they feel bad already, but you still feel like you have to say something, and it's like, so what were you thinking? It's just like,
what'd you say?
Yeah. So I don't know. That was so hard to watch. I mean, new way to lose, but that's fun.
Yeah, well, that's the story of the Padres, right? Figuring out new and exciting and interesting ways to lose, especially against bad teams and former managers. So it just kind of comes with the territory if you're a fan of this squad here. But hey, good news is they got 2 more against the Mets, and they play a bunch of crappy teams in a row. So how are you feeling about the Pods overall? Before we get into some of the newsier stuff here, and we'll rely on your Big J journalism intellect to steer us in the right direction towards press conferences and such. How are you feeling overall as a fan about the team?
I feel great. I'm so glad you guys are letting me talk about baseball a little bit. So a couple of things. I was early on the Tatis needs to lead off train, and you guys weren't.
Wow.
And
yes, we were.
No, you weren't. You were anti-Tatis leading off at the beginning.
Not me. I was adamant. I always had both feet in that camp. These other clowns started justifying it. It never made any sense to me.
All right. Well, I was early on that. And I was early on the, like, they have to buy and not sell, and they couldn't sell anything anyway, really, in my opinion. That would have been great. Like, what were they going to move more at home for and stuff like that? Anyway, right. I love it, and I think they're doing great, and it's so much fun to watch. And I've always believed, I'm such a homer about it, though. Like, there's always a chance in my mind. I actually think the most interesting story, in a way, is I think they've built something that they can't let slip. Like, they can't go through a rebuilding period. I don't think it's possible for them, the way that they've structured all of their commitments and their debts and everything. Like, I think they have to put a contender on the field. I think they're like addicted to AJ. I think that's the I think they can't not have AJ there, because he gives them a chance every year, and that's what they've built their entire business model.
Oh my gosh, Scott Lewis has just produced a brand new T-shirt that Voice of San Diego needs to have their logo on. Addicted to AJ, and I think I'm serious. Okay, so that open, has it ever been boring under AJ Preller? Whether the product in the field has been boring, has it ever been boring under Preller? I would agree with you. There are 1,000 and countless questions to ask, and Darren and I actually discussed this on Fire Territory earlier. That open right there was from 2023, right, with Peter Seidler and then with Eric Grupner, the Padres CEO. And at that time, Grupner was talking about, this for the first time in Padres history, we've had a cap season tickets, and they've done it every year since then, and it's because of what Addicted to AJ helped produce under Peter Seidler. So I'll ask you this, Scott Lewis, Voice of San Diego. I know the owners will be introduced formally on Monday. When you're asking them questions about the baseball side, what's the one question? And then we'll go into the business side, because I think you've had some interesting commentary on what you would like the new ownership group to go ahead and make right when it comes to the Padres. And by the Padres, I don't mean just what they do on the field. We're talking everything else: ballpark experience, and of course, community and philanthropy.
Yeah, I guess I would ask him. I don't know enough about, like, the contracts that are due and the the potential pieces that need to be filled and all that stuff. I think what I would ask them is, do they accept the assumed baseball cycle that you're going to contend for a quote window, and then you're going to rebuild for another, and then you're going to get another window, and then you're going to rebuild or whatever? Because it seems like the Padres have decided that that's not the way it works, that we are going to fight and contend. We might dip a little bit here and there, but we're just going to like throw everything we can together to contend every year. And I think that's an interesting perspective. I mean, I think what Peter Seidler, I got to know Peter Seidler pretty well, but he only wanted to talk to me about homeless stuff. He never, like, he'd say like, okay, you get one baseball question, and then we would talk about whatever we were going to talk about. And I think what I think was super special is a lot of people looked at like, oh, he's just YOLOing, he's just trying to like, you know, he sees the horizon ending quickly and he needs to just make something happen. But I think what he realized is that you can create like a truly excellent, truly high performing organization in town, and it's going to do really well. And then that is a good investment. And I think that's what his lesson is that like, not only was it like fun for baseball fans and fun for him, it was actually a truly impressive investment. However, it depends on them being competitive every year. They can't stop, or else it all falls apart.
Yeah, hence the addicted to AJ. Because I think you raised a good point. I think it's one that hasn't been brought up enough. You know, you can give AJ a blank check and he can go out there and he can bring in players. You can give him a boatload of prospects and he could turn it into Juan Soto, right? And Josh Hader and some of these guys who are really, really good, or Cy Young Award winners. Right. You know, and also you could say, hey, you have no money and you have to cut money. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll turn this into a couple of pitchers and I'll flip one of these pitchers and I'll bring in Dylan Cease for a little while. Right. So like there's different, like he's not a one trick pony. You know, people are well within the right not to like him or think that it's just sort of run its course. Even if you and I disagree and Marty might disagree. But I think you have to give him credit that he's shown he's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just a guy that can sign a check. He's not just the guy that can trade prospects. He's a guy that can do it in a lot of different ways and keep this team right there and relevant. I know they haven't won it all, but, you know, like he gets this team into the playoffs almost, you know, all looking at 3 straight years. I think that is something that is certainly a credit to him and his ability to do so.
There are 3 people I enjoy watching on the Padres. Fernando Tatis Jr., leadoff hitter, Mason Miller, and AJ Preller. Those are the 3 like most entertaining men in San Diego, I think.
I love that. I wonder that side praise for AJ as well. Do you have, is it too early to ask? I don't know how much you've really thought about this. You know, I keep mentioning on all these shows, Scott, that because I you know am aware of Clear Lake Capital and Jose Feliciano, and now there's these other tentacles to the story about Blueco and Todd Bowley and Mark Walter, that I have been trapped in Chelsea Football Club algorithm for months, and I've had more than my fair share of commentary about these people as owners. Is it too early to ask? Do you have a read on Jose Feliciano and Kwanza Jones as they will be introduced on Monday of next week?
You know, I've read a lot about them, and I'm very excited to see how they engage the city as a whole. You know, like I said, Peter Seidler was super engaged. I think way more than people like acknowledge or talk about as much as his baseball stuff in the city, politics and sort of public policy around its biggest problems. You know, obviously they're not going to be that engaged. They're a much more international couple, but I think I also think it'll be interesting to see, like, they're pretty liberal. Like, they're pretty, like, you know, they're not going to be hanging out with President Trump much, stuff like that. Maybe they're into that, but I think it's going to be interesting to watch, you know, how they approach some of these cultural issues that come through baseball here and there. And but I think I'll be really interested in how they do that. And then, you know, they're going to have to manage, I think over the next 5 years, some really interesting questions with the city of San Diego. And I wonder how much they'll actually engage with that. I think I think they can either delegate it and Grupner just handles everything. Grupner was ready to go to war with the city, and then the sale happened and then that was put on pause. And I think that'll be interesting to see what happens now.
What do you mean by that? I think there's a leaf blower, of course, while we're doing this. Maybe not everybody followed that. What do you mean when you say Eric Grupner was ready to go to war with the city?
Grupner sent a letter to the city last year when they were pursuing the new minimum wage for visitors, for visiting industry, for like the tourism industry. And they lumped Petco Park and the Padres into that, and the Padres were pretty mad about that. Like, we're not a visitor facing entity. Like, yeah, most of our people are from San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And so why are you raising our minimum wage? We have the highest wages in all of baseball. They pointed that out. They did a lot of research, and they sent a letter to the mayor. Grupner did, and in that he said, like, look, we're gonna start to be, a problem for you if this is how this is gonna go. I don't remember exactly the language, but it was very, very straightforward. Like, we're going to get involved in politics, and they were lining things out. They were going to get involved in political races. They were going to get involved in political measures. They were going to fund different interest groups and stuff to make sure that their interests were advanced. And it was all because of the minimum wage stuff, these sort of things that come here and there to, like, you might remember Shanila Rivera, the council member, proposed that they pay a greater share of the costs of the security of the police and support that the city provides Petco Park for the Padres. And so I think they were ready to go, not at war, but, start to take a more antagonistic position with the city, especially as it tried to extract more from the Padres. So I think there's also this ongoing, union sort of troubles with the Padres. The Padres, of course, are unionized. The Delaware North, their concessions system is unionized, but the stage workers are at a long-term sort of impasse with the Padres because they want to unionize that as well.
Yeah, I remember some of that saber rattling about Petco Park and how much money the city would contribute versus the team, et cetera, for some of the upgrades. So, I think it is interesting because, that's going to be certainly under the umbrella of new ownership. So,
yeah, the lease is up in 2031, and the city will have paid off all the debt that it incurred to build Petco Park by then. So the new relationship with the city of San Diego will be set by these owners.
Do you think
Scott,
it's
just
fair?
really quick, the minimum wages. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Marty. No, you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. The hospitality rate was what? Is it 25? The minimum wage is what, $25 an hour? Is that what it's being raised to for, like, hotels and places like that?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact one that the Padres fell into, but yeah,
Okay.
it's in the 20s. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and verify that.
Scott, do you think it's fair to again, I'm sort of stuck in this space with their team that they own, their soccer club that they own in London, Chelsea, and like there's all these images of, people that want this group out, and they're like, oh, we don't like these people. Maybe they like them a little more today because of the whole Mark Walter stuff.
Yeah.
But do you think it's fair to I don't want to say judge them, but to view them through that lens? I mean, they are owners of another sports team. Like, do you think it's fair to say,
I lost my sound. I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, it's all right. Do you think is it fair to view them through the lens of what they've already done as sports owners?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. Maybe you understand better, but my understanding was that, yes, the capital, the private equity firm owns the stake in Chelsea, but that this is more of Jose and Kwanza's specific individual investment. And so I think that's what I'm sort of grasping or clinging to. Like, hopefully it's not private equity, it's actually them, and this is their investment that they can be more directly involved in. Because if it's private equity, that would just be terrible if they treat it like a private equity investment. If they, the long-term implications of that are not great for the Padres. If it's their individual investment that they care about and want to be involved with directly, that's a lot better for me. So I've tried to think of it as like, oh, that's the situation in Chelsea. That's why it's gone so badly there. They have other partners and such. And here it's going to be just them. And there's a lot of other players too, like local, Saquon and some of these guys around that Midway Rising world and stuff like that. I think there's some people who care about San Diego who are going to be in their ear a little bit more too. So hopefully,
and I'm with you. Like I was up, I remain optimistic that, this is maybe more of a legacy play for them. Right. And that they want to sort of separate themselves from some of their business holdings. But Dennis Lynn of The Athletic reported on Monday night that Jose Feliciano's partner, the co-founder of Clear Lake, Bedad Egbali, is also going to be one of the owners. So I'm like, okay, so it's not going to be private equity, but it's going to be the two guys who run Clear Lake. Where's this going to go? So, again, they don't deserve to be condemned for that necessarily. But now you have both of those guys doing this, I suppose, on their own, in theory, out of their own pocket, I guess, since private equity is limited and the percentage of MLB ownership it's allowed to have. I think it's 15%, but who knows what it'll look like out of the CBA. That could change. And, I don't know. It's an interesting detail that Dennis reported on Monday night, that it's not just, Jose Feliciano and his wife, but it's also now the other co-founder of Clear Lake Capital. Maybe it's just 1%. I don't know. Maybe it's like, hey, buddy, why don't you jump in on this for a couple of bucks? Maybe that's what it is, or maybe not.
The big distinction, of course, with a private equity firm is that they have a mandate from their investors to deliver value on a regular basis. And I think that what the hope is that the investors that are assembled for this are interested in it as an investment for the long term, with some probably insubstantial returns in the meantime, right? Like, I think what Peter Seidler established is like, yeah, you can, quote, lose money on a regular basis, but then, long term, that asset is obviously going to be worth a lot more. And I think now it's unquestioned, like, what an incredible investment he made. But remember those years we were like, oh, they took out $100 million loan. Oh my God, what are they going to do? And then looking back, Peter Seidler's like, yeah, what do you think of that now? Like, I mean, they just banked. There's so many people getting so many millions of dollars in their bank accounts.
Including the CEO, by the way. I mean,
yeah,
the CEO did very, very well for keeping this.
Very well.
This
I mean, he's gone
along.
from rich guy to like now he's part of that next level of equity, leaders in the world, and I think that's good for him. But yeah, it's
he's in the club.
He's in the club.
That's what you got to hope, is that they'll continue with that thinking that this is a yearly challenge and it's hard to balance it, and let's let a few resources go out the door in the meantime. Because long term, for our kids and for everybody else around us, this is going to be just an absolute jewel.
Scott, you had a bit of a viral post yesterday on
Marty.
I'm sorry, can you not hear me? I'm muted. Darren, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm not sure
if it's... I can't hear.
He can't. Weird. What's going on
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Why can't you hear me? All right, Darren, ask Scott this question. This is going to be really strange. What?
Scott, do you want to explain your viral post on Instagram?
Yes, about the fake charity. About the fake charity.
Is? Like 20,000
Darren, real quick. The investigation that Voice of San Diego did.
Investigation. Voice of San Diego did an investigation into. I will let Scott explain it. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you wouldn't mind just summing it up and talking a little bit about it, because at least in Marty's interpretation, this went viral.
I appreciate that. Yeah. So I'm glad. Look, I love the Padres. I think everybody knows I love the Padres. And I think they're such an excellent organization. I think they need to make a little bit of something right. So, yes, the Padres, along with many other stadium operators around the world, really have a system in place that came out of the old world of like these very few, football games a year. And so how do you staff a concession stand for, 8 football games a year? And so they came up with an idea of like, well, we can have charity groups run the stand and we'll just give them 10% of the revenue from that concession stand. The Padres had that with their partner Delaware North. And one of the groups that got it was a group called Chula Vista Fast Pitch. And Chula Vista Fast Pitch ran concession stands for about 7 years for Delaware North and the Padres. Now, Chula Vista Fast Pitch was supposed to be a softball league in South Bay. And for 7 years they ran it. And some of them, every once in a while, they'd have a night with like 12 concession stands or more. Like they would have all these, it was quite an operation for a softball league run by volunteers. We revealed in 2023 that they would, that didn't exist, that Chula Vista Fast Pitch didn't exist. It was a fraudulent enterprise. The U.S. attorney investigated and was able to get guilty pleas. What these guys were doing was paying people under the table less than minimum wage to come and work the stands, and then they would pocket the difference of that 10% that the Padres and Delaware North pushed off. So ostensibly about $3 million, $3.5 million was supposed to be going to youth softball. And as you know, I'm very involved in youth softball in San Diego. And $3.5 million would be just game changing for the entire region. Fields, opportunities, training, development opportunities for all the girls. And it just breaks my heart that $3 million was supposed to be going to that world, and it never did. Now the Padres say it's not their fault, and like they were the victims as well of this, but they only benefited from it. They didn't have to, hire workers during. Remember COVID, how hard it was to hire low level, entry level workers and stuff. Like they didn't have to deal with that because they had this scam running these concessions for them. Sometimes, like I said, dozen or more a night. And I think that as all these people get these giant wire transfers into their bank account over the next few days, that this is a situation that was never made right. The scammers aren't going to make it right, and the youth softball world could sure use better fields and the kind of money that was supposed to be going to them. And so I made that point on Instagram. I got a little bit, a few fiery comments, but I appreciate you guys highlighting it.
Well, where did all that money go?
So they collected, so that the concession stands made about $35 million for the Padres in Delaware North. These guys got 3.5 million of it, of which they admitted about 2 million of it went to their pockets. And so they don't have it. They weren't that good with money or whatever.
They spent $2 million in a couple of years.
Yeah, well,
that's a lot of palm trees they had removed from their property.
Yeah, and then and so like none of it found its way to now the Padres will say we had no idea, and the Delaware North say we had no idea, but they certainly knew that a softball league was handling a very difficult labor challenge for them for 7 years. And I don't know what they think a softball league is able to do, but they might have just taken a little bit of interest in local softball and quickly realized that this was a scam. And they weren't interested in doing that because they were solving a problem for them, and it wasn't in their incentive to figure out. So I think it's a sad thing, as somebody who cares about youth sports as deeply as I do. Like these fields, there's some fields that are just so depressing and sad, and there's some bathrooms, and just the girls deserve better equipment, better a lot of things around the community, and they turn into lifelong fans of the Padres. A great investment. So my daughter's a lifelong fan of the Padres now, and in large part because she learned the game through softball.
Can Scott hear my question? Scott, can you hear me now?
What? I don't know why I can't hear.
What is happening? You must have he has like the permanent Marty mute button on. Darren, you must.
Man,
can you?
I mean, what a gift that would be.
No, Darren. Ask Scott this. Like, what? Just real quick.
What made? Really good.
What made Scott? I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. What made Scott?
I'll decipher Marty's question.
Okay, ask Scott.
I'm like a translator.
What made Voice of San Diego even investigate it? Like, how did it come to their attention?
Okay, Marty wants to know what motivated Voice of San Diego to do this investigation.
We well, think about it. Like there was a fraud being done where they were using youth softball, and it was around the Padres. And it was a state facility. I think it was it was like an 88 mile per hour fastball right down the middle for me, and we had to hit it. So yeah.
But is Chula Vista Fast Pitch, is that a real place? Like they were using like a real charity, and then they were just funneling the money, figuring nobody would pick up on this?
So actually, a guy I know in softball created Chula Vista Fast Pitch way back in like 2013 or something, and then he couldn't make it work as a league, and so he left it. But one of the guys who was there with him was one of the leaders of the scam later. He took it over and just sort of used that shell for the fraud. So started as an actual league or effort for a league, and then turned into the fraud.
Okay. So this is basically you, sort of one foot in your journalism camp and the other foot in your personal camp, saying, hey, listen, this is sort of a shitty thing that happened here, and somebody should make it right. Maybe not for $3.5 million, but somebody should at least pay attention to softball. A worthwhile cause, worthwhile enough that somebody used it to crowbar their way into this fraud. And maybe somebody wants to cut us a check. We'll be fine with that. That's about right?
Most of these softball leagues run, at about $200 or something $1,000 a year. We raised $40,000 for new batting cages last year. It's the greatest achievement of my young presidency at
the you can't hear
Peninsula Youth Softball, and that was just a huge lift. $40,000.
Wow!
Like you can transform a league for $100,000. Transform fields for. We're not talking about a massive thing, and that's what's so incredible about this. $3 million was supposed to be going to softball. That would have funded every softball league in the region for 3 years. Like it's just that's how like outrageous the scandal is in those terms, and yet it was just sort of like flying under the radar because it was solving a labor problem for the Padres and for Delaware North, and they had no interest in making sure it stopped.
Whose desk should this land on? John Seidler? Eric Rubner?
So that's what I'm really interested in, who's actually cashing out. Do you guys ever get like a stakes of like,
come on,
who's keeping their 15% or whatever? Because whoever like went from 15% to no percent means that they got like a giant wire transfer. Like they're gonna wake up one day and be like, okay, like we can do whatever we want now, honey. So
the math
obviously
here.
A lot of
the math on like even Eric Rupner is somewhere in the like $150 million range.
Yeah, no, and it's like so that the ones that get those, that's the one I was saying like, hey, maybe kick a little bit. There's a broader principle here. If the Seidlers and Shield Seidler and others, like if they get these massive capital advance, I would hope some of that stays in San Diego, not just for this sort of charitable cause, but for investments, for philanthropy, and for businesses in San Diego, because we generated that revenue through a significant public investment. We paid for 2/3 of Petco Park as San Diego taxpayers, and I think I would love for some of that capital to stay here, fund the jobs and enterprises that'll help us do more of that.
I know Marty's on the clock here, and I don't know that we've resolved our audio issues, but I would simply ask this for anybody who might be watching: what would Peter do? Just ask yourself, what would Peter Seidler do in this situation? I don't know for sure, and I don't want to speak for somebody who's moved on, who's passed on, but I think we all have a sense that Peter would figure out a way to at least try to make this right in some capacity. So from that standpoint, I hope, Scott, that you do get some a little bit of clarity on this from somebody from somewhere. I don't know
if Jose Feliciano and Kwanza Jones need any advice on how they could deploy some philanthropy, or Shield Seidler with her new. But I think it's there's a lot of places that could benefit, and I hope that some of that capital stays here. So we'll see.
Can I ask one question, Marty, that's not related to the Padres? Because again,
yes, because wait, no, I have to pass on a question only if you ask my question to Scott. Okay. Also,
I have to ask Marty's question first, then I can finish with my totally off-topic question.
Okay, why am I parking? Why am I paying to park at Balboa Park? Why am I paying to park at the zoo? Why is it $16 to park at the San Diego Zoo? And I'm trying to get the residence permit, and the website is always down. What is happening?
What's the deal? Why is Marty paying for parking at the zoo? $16. Website's always down.
It went from zero for the residence permit.
It's so funny that they did the parking at the zoo because the city did the paid parking at the rest of Balboa Park, and so the zoo didn't want to be like the place where everybody parked to avoid the fees. So they did the paid parking, and then the city backed off on the rest. So now the zoo is like trying to decide. Adam Day, the chair of the zoo board, he's trying to decide, I think literally right now, like what we're gonna do. Like, are we gonna roll back the pay parking? Because now they have a deal with the city where they have to share some of that revenue, so it's not like easy to unroll. So I think it's classic San Diego. Like, city forced them into doing this, city backed off, and now they're like, well, what do we do? Like, we're getting revenue, it's hard to turn that down. We're sharing the revenue with the city, which we now by contract have to do. So I don't know.
Typical San Diego, like a turtle on its back. My question is, how concerned should I be? Because I'm getting emails from politicians making sure that I'm going to be prepared for El Nino. So as somebody who lives pretty close to the ocean here and, has a gutter that probably needs to be at least cleaned, if not replaced, what sort of preparation should I be doing? Should I be filling sandbags? How concerning is this?
I saw the message.
And plus, Marty lives on a street that floods every time a toilet flushes. So
there was no link to like, what do you do to prepare for El Nino? I don't know. Like, it's it's going to rain hard, and you just whatever you would do to deal with that. Sandbags, maybe get some sandbags. Seems early for sandbags. You don't want sandbags laying around. They disintegrate. They're a mess. It's not good. Like, I don't know what they want us to do. Just buckle up, baby.
Batten down the hatches. That's the email that I got. Be prepared. El Nino's coming in. It might be unprecedented.
Yeah. What it means is it's going to rain. You know, when it rains and it's like, oh, that's a bad rain. Well, it's going to do that like for 4 days in a row one time. And there's going to be some flooding and it's going to suck and it's going to be hard. But
you don't think it's going to be catastrophic? Like houses aren't going to be blown away off the beach for those of us
I'm not going to make that prediction. It could be.
Could be
I
that
don't
bad.
need this clip coming up like Scott Lewis said it would be no big deal, but I don't know. It seems
I don't know.
Like
I mean,
bad.
I see all these maps on Twitter. I'm like, what am I supposed to? It doesn't look great, but I don't know how to interpret this. What does it mean?
It's just rain. It's going to be lots of rain
and wind,
heavy
rain,
flooding.
Yeah,
palm trees are not good in that situation.
Good.
Glad
I got every person in San Diego.
Fronds flying. Hitting people in the head, falling on cars.
Unsafe.
Did you notice that there was a giant firestorm in that canyon by San Diego State? 15, 20-foot high flames. And all of it was fueled by the skirts of the palm trees in that canyon or along Montezuma. And the palm trees didn't die. They're ridiculous. They're so strong. And they just all they did was get rid of their skirts and they're like, all right, we're ready to party. And they kept going. Like the 15-foot, who survives a 20-foot flame surrounding you except a palm tree? They're not right for this world.
No, they're not.
Ask Scott, is he on TikTok?
Are you on TikTok? Marty wants to know.
Yeah.
TikTok
big on TikTok.
Whoa. Hey,
how does that make you feel?
He should do his own.
My daughter's friends see me on there every once in a while. And they're like, your dad actually has a lot of followers. I'm like, yeah, I'm a big deal.
Yeah. Social media influencer, Scott Lewis.
Huge.
Scott Lewis is a big deal. I love this.
All right. Scott, you have been an
tell
excellent...
Scott. I'm going to let you go, Darren, since he can't hear me. Tell Scott.
I don't know why
I can't. How can he can't hear? Tell Scott that he's awesome. We should do this more often.
Too. Oh, yeah,
really?
Marty, I can't hear you.
Oh, you know who does that? Preller on the phone. Yeah, I'm on the phone. I got to go.
Preller never can hear anybody. All right, Marty, we're going to wrap. That's it. So we can let Scott do some journalism and keep San Diego safe.
Yes.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you.
Thank you,
Darren.
Scott.
Always
You're the best.
A pleasure. And I'm always happy to get on. There's Midway Rising stuff coming soon. We should talk about all kinds of other
Nothing's
stuff.
ever happened there. I'm giving up on that.
No, there's big stuff.
No, there's nothing happening.
There's big stuff.
There ain't jack shit happening at Midway. Come on. We all know that. It's done. It's over. That is the ultimate San Diego special. I appreciate your 10,000 word essay on the history of Midway, but it might as well just remain like 100 years ago. It's never going to change. What's happening there? Go ahead. What's happening?
There's a state bill they just introduced to make sure people can't sue it. So
okay, somebody will sue for that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I think it's great work. Nobody else is doing this journalism, so I do appreciate it. But I've just moved on with my life. I cannot devote another second of my life to Midway. I just tell
them the breakdown on TikTok. Impress his daughter's friends.
Put it on TikTok, and I could probably process the updates a little bit better. I can't handle a long-winded conversation.
All right,
stuff. Not that you're long-winded, Scott Lewis. You're the best. Voice of San Diego. I do miss our weekly segments. Maybe we can resuscitate them. Who knows?
Anytime.
So.
Even though we cannot hear Marty, for Marty, I am Darren. And thank you very much, Scott Lewis. This is the Marty Time TV Section 1904 collaboration brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I saw a billboard on the 5, by the way, that Jamul Casino, the spa there, got voted best spa in San Diego. There you go.
I was one of the first celebrity poker players at Jamul.
That's right. I played with Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, you lasted longer than I did, I think. Little known fact, Scott Lewis, great poker player. Thank you, everybody. Subscribe, do all the things, and support independent journalism, whether it's here or whether it's Voice of San Diego. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
I told you. I said be patient with us. As soon as one of us or all of us get on the same page, the game's different in this clubhouse. The game's different at Petco Park and everywhere else we play. So just trust in us to be patient.
When you get those hitters rolling like Jackson is and Toddy, obviously, and I don't know if I've ever seen a guy score from second base on a ground ball to first base. He's a special talent, so it's really fun to watch.
Right on time. I keep saying it that way. We have come together as a ball club, as a team, and that's what is needed. And obviously a sweep against a team like this, it keep boosting our confidence all the way up. So we better keep it that